Today is August 5th, 2023, and we are in the finals round of our Summer Open tournament. Anusha and Austen have been debating all morning to make it to this point in the tournament. So congratulations to both of you for making it to finals. Couple of background notes here. The motion for the debate, or rather the resolution, I'm sorry, I've been coaching world schools all week. The resolution for the debate is the US should significantly increase its regulation of AI, a very topical topic. We have a wonderful panel of judges today. So we have Kinesia Sumter. She has been perhaps our most experienced Ready, Set, Debate judge. She's been with us for many, many tournaments and has judged many finals rounds, many preliminary rounds as well. So glad to have her here. Ryan Chang is a former member of Ready, Set, Debate. He debated with, I think, both the Polar Bear and Ferret clubs before heading off on his own to debate in the high school circuit in Texas Forensic Association. He is specialized in LD debate, which is very similar to the format of debate that we're doing here, which is based on IPDA debate, which in turn I think may have been based on LD debate, but I actually don't know about that. So anyway, this snarl of different debate formats are all kind of represented here. Speaking of IPDA, we also have Hannah Morris. Hannah Morris is the co-director or director now of the program of the debate program at the University of Arkansas. So her squad has won many awards and they are full of spirit in the most recent IPDA debate season. Hannah is also an award-winning coach. Hannah, what are some of the awards that you've won as a coach?
Well, I was elected coach of the year for the Southern Division this year, so that was fun. I hold a national championship just personally, and then I have 3 different national championships squad wise. So
cool. And also I want to go through everybody else in case there's anything else you want to share about yourself with the debaters, so they have a better idea of the experience you're coming in with and the sort of thoughts you're wanting to share with them as you go into judging the round. Let's go to Kinesia.
Oh, hey. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about the technical stuff. My computer was being weird, so I'm on my tablet. But I've been judging debates for, like you said, a while. I do have some history in debate by being in youth and government when I was in high school. And I just really like seeing young people learn about debate and learn how they can use their words to convince people and how they can learn to debate for sides that aren't necessarily theirs so they can get a full understanding of all sides of a topic. I think that kind of experience is really important for you to fully say that you support your perspective.
Great, and let's go to Ryan. Any comments you want to make about your own experience and your sort of expectations and thoughts going into the round?
I'm pretty much a clean slate. I enjoy all arguments, and yeah, I just think that debate's a really fun opportunity to show what you know. I coached at Yapa Kids, which is based in California, for about 7 months, 8 months. And I guess as far as qualifications go, I am nationally qualified, or I was nationally qualified for the 2023 NSCA Nats tournament. But other than that, I'm fine with any arguments. I just want to hear some good debating. That's it.
Great, and let's go to Hannah. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to share with the debaters going into the debate?
IPDA is really straightforward as far as how argumentation goes. I don't really have any specific types of arguments that I prefer, but I definitely am not a huge fan of spreading just as a person, even though I know that that's pretty big in certain types of high school debate. So
great. So with that, just a couple of notes. We're going to be going to the round in a moment. I'm going to call the coin flip and have the debaters choose which side they're going to be taking. I will also run the timing for the round. So judges, you can just focus solely on the judging of the round. At the end of the debate, we'll ask you to finish your ballots. And then once your ballots are completed, I will announce that the ballots are completed. And then I'll ask all of you to give the students verbal feedback on the debate and announce which team you're voting for. Again, our teams are Anusha representing the Tiger Debate Club and Austen representing the Dolphin Debate Club. And with that, anybody have any questions before we call the coin flip? Great. Hearing no questions, Austen, you want to call heads or tails?
I'll go with heads.
Hey Siri, flip a coin. That is, I don't know if you can quite see that. It's heads. So would you like to speak on the affirmative or the negative?
I think I'll speak on the affirmative.
Great. So in that case, I'm going to disappear. You'll hear my voice calling out the time now and then. And other than that, it's all up to the judges and the debaters. So 5 minutes on the clock for Austen on the affirmative, beginning when you're ready.
All right, judges ready? Is my opponent ready? All right, 5 minutes starting now. So hello everybody, my name is Austen NEG. Today I will be affirming the resolution. The U.S. should significantly increase its regulation of AI. So in this speech, I will first provide a top case, so there's definitions, framework, and a plan, and then I will finish with contentions, and if time allows, maybe some reasons as to why I believe I'm winning this debate. Okay, so to begin, definitions, the U.S. is defined as the U.S. federal government. Should as used to indicate obligation, duty, or correctness, typically when criticizing someone's actions. Significantly as sufficiently great or important to be worthy of attention. And regulation as a rule or directive made and maintained by an authority. All right, with that, this debate should be judged using a two worlds analysis framework. And now I will begin with my plan. So my plan title is the U.S. AI Regulation Enhancement Plan. And so this plan basically significantly increases the regulation of AI in the United States to ensure responsible development, deployment, and usage of AI technologies while fostering innovation and safeguarding public interest. Let's see. So this plan would take roughly 3 years to complete, and it would be an estimated cost of $500 million. And funding would come from a combination of federal budget allocation and public-private partnerships. So this plan is split into 5 phases, so I'll just try to go over these quickly. So phase 1 is research and expert consultation. So it would establish a task force of AI experts, industry representatives, ethicists, and policymakers to evaluate the current state of AI and its technologies, and then also evaluate potential risks and regulatory gaps. And this would cost $20 million. And then phase 2 is drafting comprehensive AI regulation, and based on the findings from phase 1, draft a comprehensive AI framework that would address safeties, privacy, bias, explainability, and accountability concerns, as well as collaborate with tech companies, universities, and educational organizations and non-governmental organizations to receive feedback and ensure that the proposed regulations are well balanced. This would cost $50 million. The third phase is public input and legislation, so launch a nationwide public consultation campaign to solicit feedback from citizens, industry stakeholders, and civil society organizations on the proposed AI regulations, and then the draft would be revised based on the public input and expert advice. And then at this point, the AI regulations bill would be proposed to Congress to work towards bipartisan support to ensure its passage, and this would cost $100 million. The fourth phase is the implementation and enforcement. So it would develop guidelines and standards for AI developers and operators to comply with the new regulations, and it would also establish an AI Regulatory Compliance Office, or ARCO, to oversee the implementation and enforcement of the regulations. And then it would also collaborate with tech companies to provide resources and assistance in meeting the requirement, and this is $150 million. And the fifth and final phase is monitoring, evaluation, and iteration, and it would basically regularly assess the effectiveness and impact of the AI regulations, considering feedback from stakeholders and monitoring AI development. And then the plan would also be modified and updated. The regulations would be modified and updated to keep pace with technological advancements and evolving risks, and this would foster international cooperation and a harmonization of AI regulations to ensure a global approach to the healthy fostering of AI. And I will just continue on with my contentions. So my first contention is AI grow at a rapid pace. So as AI gets more and more advanced, it becomes a more growing concern about the sentience of AI. So Hunt 2023 said that the rapid acceleration promises to soon result in artificial intelligence, and when this happens, AI will be able to improve itself with no human intervention. And then this is dangerous because Hunt 2023 concluded this paper by saying that regardless, a nuclear bomb can kill millions without any consciousness whatsoever. In the same way, AI could kill millions with zero consciousness in a myriad of ways, including potentially use of nuclear bombs either directly or through manipulated human intermediaries. And then many experts in the AI field have also said flat out that AI has a significant risk to human life and has a chance of causing extinction. Then my second contention is job loss, and how AI already has and will continue taking away jobs as it becomes more advanced. Goldman Sachs predicts 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded by artificial intelligence. Napolitano 2023 found that artificial intelligence contributed to nearly 1,000 job losses in May of 2023. And according to data from Challenger Gray, as interest in rapidly evolving technology's ability to perform advanced organizational tasks and lighten workloads has intensified, artificial intelligence could displace roughly 15% of workers or 400 million people between 2016 and 2030. Thank you. That concludes my speech.
We have 2 minutes on the clock for cross-examination of the affirmative by the negative, beginning when you're ready.
Okay, cool. Let me just pull up my timer. Okay. Are my judges ready? And is my opponent ready?
Yes.
Beginning my time now. Could you quickly give me the taglines for each of your contentions?
Yeah, so my first contention was AI growth at a rapid pace, and my second contention was job loss.
Okay, cool. Why do you propose your definition of significant?
Well, significantly being a sufficiently great or important to be worthy of attention. I propose this because it generally shows that this plan would be this plan would basically be noteworthy, as the definition says, and it would also basically like increase the regulation of AI in the U.S. by a substantial amount.
Okay, cool. And why do you realize that your definition of significantly is suspect to bias, as people define noteworthy different ways?
This as I made, this is not the only part of the definition, as it also is a great or important amount.
Yes, this is also bias, as great or important amount is different for different people.
Sorry, what was the question?
So my question is that is also suspect to bias, as people think of great or important in different ways as well. So how do you respond to that?
Well, I think that's not really what this plan is trying to do. It's not trying to be biased, essentially. It's just showing an increase in AI regulation.
Okay, but it is your burden to prove that this increase is significant. So how do you plan to prove that?
Well, as I'd said, it would significantly increase it via the $500 million and the plan that I've established.
Okay, that's the end of my time.
Going now into a mandatory 2-minute prep time, beginning now. Prep time is concluded. We are going to the negative for a 7-minute speech, beginning when you're ready.
Okay, are my judges ready? And is my opponent ready? Okay, cool. Beginning my time now. Hi, my name is Anusha, and I'm on the negative side of the resolution. The US should significantly increase its regulation of AI. In this debate, first I'd like to address top case issues and my opponent's burdens, and then I'll go into my case and finally end with why I'm winning the debate so far. Okay, so first, my opponent brings up definitions of significantly and regulated and should. And while I do agree with these definitions, I want to make it clear that my opponent does have the burden of proving that his plan does match the definition of significantly. And because his definition is suspect bias, I will allow him to change his definition if he wants to, but it is his burden to prove that his plan is significantly increasing regulation. Okay, next I'd like to go into some quick rebuttals of his case. So first, my opponent talks about how AI grows at a rapid pace. However, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because AI is growing at a rapid pace, lots of opportunities are opening up for companies, jobs, and more things, because AI growing at a rapid pace is leading to pushing our country and the world into the future, and over-regulating AI can actually hinder this and put the United States at a disadvantage when it comes to AI and other newer technologies. Next, my opponent talks about job loss from AI. However, I want to make it clear to my opponent that in the past, technology has led to job loss. However, he has to understand there's job displacement versus job transformation. And job transformation is the fact that AI while it is taking jobs away from people, it is also transforming the industry and putting new jobs in place, new higher position jobs, higher tech jobs, and more job opportunities that are opening for people to take in light of AI developments. Okay, next I'd like to jump into my case and show how this ties back into everything. So my first contention is overregulation. So overregulation of AI can prevent small businesses from entering the market, as they would have lots of regulations to adhere to that might be difficult and costly. And then bigger AI companies already utilizing AI would find it better to work overseas where AI goes unregulated. And like I talked about earlier, this puts the US at a disadvantage in the global AI market. Subpoint B, AI would limit the developing of autonomous applications for things like healthcare and education. For example, autonomous AI is helping treat and save people's lives from cancer. So these things are important to human lives, and possible overregulation for my opponent's plan could lead to limiting these important developments and growth of AI. Next, AI might actually lead to overregulating, or even simply regulating AI might actually lead to, and it very well can lead to, illegal development and non-compliant practices when companies are developing AI because they feel like the US no longer supports their endeavors and growth in AI sectors. And by a further stretch, this might impede the dynamic learning structure of AI and force AI development to slow down in the United States. My second contention is about improper regulations. So my subpoint A is AI is applied in various fields, and when it comes to regulation, one size does not fit all. So when my opponent is making this draft for his plan for what he wants to pass from Congress, he doesn't acknowledge the fact that all the different fields of AI have different levels of growth, different places where they're being applied, and there are almost always going to be holes in regulations as AI grows and develops, because it becomes increasingly difficult to properly regulate and place restrictions on such a self-growing, self-developing technology. So there's no assurance that what my opponent is suggesting will actually work. Okay, so now I'd like to go into some impacts of my case versus my opponent's case and tell my judge why I'm winning this debate so far. Okay, so I bring up many reasons why regulating AI can potentially harm the US, harm the economy, harm other companies, etc., and also ways that my opponent's plan may not be guaranteed to work. So my opponent has brought up a few contentions talking about why his plan needs to be put in place. However, I have rebutted these contentions and showed why his plan is not really necessary. So weighing this against each other, I am clearly winning at the moment. Thank you, and I'd like to yield the rest of my time.
We are now going into a cross-examination of the negative by the affirmative. You have 2 minutes, beginning when you're ready.
All right. Are the judges ready? Is my opponent ready?
Yes.
Minutes starting now. Okay, so to quickly begin, so could you begin by restating your contentions and your subpoints, or sorry, your contention 1 and its subpoints?
Okay, my contention 1 is overregulation. Subpoint A is small business is businesses. Subpoint B is autonomous applications. Subpoint D is illegal development and slowing of development.
Okay, and so my next question is, so you brought up the fact that my definition for significantly could lead to bias. So did you provide your own definition for significantly, or did you agree to it?
I did agree to it, but I can suggest another definition that is not as subject to bias.
All right. Would you like to suggest that definition?
Sure. My definition would be an increase by 30%.
30%. Okay. And can I ask, how did you come up with that number?
Because as you said, significantly should be a relatively big number. So 30% would be a significant increase in regulation from the current state.
All right. Thank you. I think those are all my questions.
Cool. We are now going into a 2-minute period of mandatory prep time, beginning now. We are now going into our next affirmative speech. You have 4 minutes, beginning when you're ready.
Okay. Are the judges ready? Is my opponent ready? All right, sounds good. 4 minutes starting now. So hello everybody, my name is Austen AFF, and this is my second speech affirming the resolution the U.S. should significantly increase its regulation of AI. In this speech, I'll first rebut my opponent's most recent speech, and then if time allows, I will end the speech with voters and reasons is why I believe I should win this debate. So firstly, the first thing my opponent said was arguing against the definition of significantly and how this could prove to be the burden of the AFF is to prove that my plan does significantly increase the amount of regulation on AI in the United States. And then she also provided her own definition of significant increase being 30%. And either definition of significantly works for me in this scenario, because in the status quo, according to the American Bar Association, at present the regulation of AI in the United States is still in its early stages, and there's no comprehensive federal legislation dedicated solely to AI regulation. So this clearly says that there is currently no AI regulation in the United States. So any regulation of AI would meet both of these definitions of significantly. Moving on to my opponent's response to my first contention. I don't think my opponent really responded to my first contention. She said AI growth at a rapid pace could allow for more jobs, but this doesn't really respond to my first contention, being how the AI growth at a rapid pace is dangerous to human life. As I'd said, as AI becomes more advanced and more sentient, it poses a risk to human life and it could possibly cause human extinction. So that is not really responding to my contention. Then my opponent's response to my second contention being how technology has led to job loss in the past, and while AI is taking jobs from people, people could get new jobs in AI development, but AI is becoming more advanced. So it's taking not only jobs away from blue collar workers, but also white collar workers. And these people have put almost 10 years of their life into getting these jobs. And it is highly unlikely that they would just drop everything, lose their job to AI, and then try to basically from scratch learn about a completely different field in AI development. So these people who lose their jobs to AI are more likely than not losing their job, and that's it. They're not going to go into the AI development field as they know nothing about this. So moving on, my opponent's first contention was about overregulation and how my plan would prevent small businesses from joining the market. Large businesses would go work overseas. So I'll first respond to those two. And my plan does not regulate all AI. It does not regulate the growth, and basically it does not restrict the growth of all AI. It is simply setting regulations and guidelines for AI businesses to follow in order to foster a healthy growth of AI. So AI that is deemed, for example, dangerous to quality of life in the United States, that's the type of AI that would be restricted and banned in the United States. However, AI such as AI, as my opponent brings up in her, I think, contention 1 subpoint C about how AI is helping save lives from cancer, that type of AI is the type of AI that my plan is pushing to create more of, instead of the AI that runs the risk of the extinction of the human race. So my opponent also talks about how regulating AI could lead to illegal development of AI, but as I said before, this is not regulating all AI. It's only regulating the AI that is dangerous to human life. And my opponent's second contention about improper regulation it's not really topical to this debate. And even if we decided that it was, my plan still is it's a wide plan. It's not trying to be a one size fits all. It's different depending on all these different types of AI working in different fields. And thank you. That concludes my speech.
We are now going into a 2-minute period of mandatory prep time, beginning now. We are now going into a 5-minute negative speech, the final negative speech, beginning when you're ready.
Okay, cool. Let me just pull up my timer. And are my judges ready? Okay, cool. Is my opponent ready? Okay, cool. Beginning my time now. Hi, my name is Anusha, and once again, I'm on the negative side of the resolution. The US should significantly increase its regulation of AI. So in this speech, I'll first address some key issues of this debate, and finally some voters as to why I should win this debate, based on the framework. Okay. So first, I'd like to jump into what my opponent, jump into responses from my opponent to my case and to his case. So first, my opponent responded to my case, saying that it was mostly non-topical, and my opponent is only regulating what has to be regulated, what poses harmful to human life. So first of all, my opponent didn't give many examples of what AI is actually harmful to human life. But I did find that there is some regulation as to pertaining to AI that is harmful to human life. According to his same source, the American Bar Association, right after he ended his quote, it picks up again with, however, there are existing laws and regulations that touch upon certain aspects of AI, such as privacy, security, and anti-discrimination. Additionally, various federal agencies have been actively engaged in exploring AI policy and issuing guidelines, and these end quote, and these agencies do include the official National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act of 2020, which created the AI sector of the American government. It's an agency called NAIA, and they do focus on creating a framework and guidelines for AI in the United States. So that's why like additional regulation or regulation at such a basic level isn't really needed on top of what we already have. And then in response to my opponent's case, my opponent said that AI is taking jobs away from people that don't know anything for a different field. So the thing is here, some fields are being created for these people, such as like AI supervisors, quality controllers, subject matter experts that collaborate with AI systems, AI testers, not ethnicity, like moral testers, and people like these. They jobs are being created for people losing their jobs to test AI, to work with AI, and to like data annotators, AI trainers, machine learning specialists, and all of these people, all of these new fields are being created to work with this AI for people who are losing their jobs. And my opponent does have to always remember that humans made AI. We always need new people to work on AI, and human skills almost always excel over, human critical thinking skills and logic skills will always excel over AI capabilities. And so we do always need, there are always new people needed to work with this sector. And now I'd like to go into some voters as to why I win over my opponent. So using the two-world analysis framework that my opponent brought up, you see a world that my opponent creates with overregulation, unfair regulation that pushes companies out of the US to work in other places, pushes away small businesses from entering the market. And this stuff leads to it leads to the limitation of developing autonomous applications for things like healthcare and education. It leads to not developing human lives and slowing development of these AIs that we need in our current world that other countries and places are pushing for. It would slow it down in the US, putting the US at a disadvantage. And what we see is we already have ample regulations and regulations that are being worked on in the US to work with this. And so we don't need the extra regulation that my opponent is offering here. It would overregulate it, and overregulating AI has multiple harms that I've brought up throughout this debate. And so when we're weighing that, we see a world of overregulated AI in the US, and we see a world where it's adequately regulated, but on my side, we see a world where it's adequately regulated from huge harms like cost of human lives, but AI is still able to grow and develop at a fast pace that we need in this changing economy and industry. Thank you, and I'd like to yield the rest of my time.
We are going now into a 2-minute mandatory prep time, beginning now. We are now going into our final affirmative speech. You have 3 minutes, beginning when you're ready.
All right, are the judges ready? Is my opponent ready? All right, 3 minutes starting now. So hello everybody, my name is Austen NEG. Today, as you know, I'm affirming the resolution. The U.S. should significantly increase its regulation of AI. This is my third speech, and in this speech, I will first respond to my opponent's final speech, and then if time allows, I'll provide voters as to why I believe I've won this debate. So let's get right into it. So my opponent says that I, the affirmative, did not give many examples of what AI is harmful to human life. But as I had said before, let me go back to it. Here we go. So AI, as it gets more advanced, becomes AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is AI that is sentient and basically smart enough to teach itself with all the resources it has on the internet. So this is the type of AI that would be dangerous to human life. And then my opponent also brought up that there are already regulations, and so extra regulation is unneeded. However, if these regulations were working and these agencies were actually successful in regulating the AI industry, then top experts in the AI industry would not be warning that AI has a very likely chance of causing the extinction of the human race in the status quo. So clearly these agencies are not doing as much as they say they are. So moving on, my opponent said that AI is taking jobs away from people, but then new fields are being created for these people, and providing many different examples. However, an MIT from the Sloan School of Management at MIT found that roughly 70% of the individuals in the artificial intelligence field have a PhD compared to 20% from 2 decades ago. So clearly, a PhD is almost like 8-9 years of schooling. So say they do manage to get a PhD, that's 8-9 years they're out of work and paying for schooling just in order to get a job after their job was replaced by AI. So moving on, my opponent provided some voters talking about how my world, the affirmative world, is a world of overregulation and unfair regulation. But as I have proved, in which my opponent did not respond to, my plan does not plan to regulate all AI, as my opponent suggests. It's only regulating AI that has been proven by experts to be dangerous to the human life, while also fostering innovative growth of AI. And with that, I will provide voters as to why I think I've won this debate using the two worlds analysis framework. In the world of the affirmative, AI is regulated in a healthy amount that is limiting and restricting AI found to be dangerous to human life, while also fostering the innovation and growth of AI that has been proven to help human life, such as AI that can help fight cancer. However, in the negative world, the AI is running rampant with no regulations whatsoever and has a high risk of not only taking away hundreds of millions of jobs, but also, if it gets extreme, causing the extinction of the human race. And thank you. That concludes my speech.
Alrighty, and that concludes that debate. So debaters and judges, you can stick around in this room. Judges, please fill out your ballots and return those to me via email. We're just going to sit tight in this room until I've received all 3 ballots, at which point I will announce that it is time to go over the feedback, and then I'm going to call on each judge to give the debaters feedback and announce their decision. So if you have any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, we'll sit tight for a little while, and then we'll be back shortly.
Real quick.
So I've received all of the ballots for the final. And before we go over the judge feedback, I want to quickly announce the speaker awards for this tournament. So in addition to the win and loss scores on the debates, the judges are also awarding speaker points for the presentation quality of the speeches and debating by the debaters. And our 3rd place speaker is going to be Audrey from the Polar Bear Club. Then for 2nd place, our 2nd place speaker is Austen from the Dolphin Club, and our first place speaker is Anusha from the Tiger Club. Now on to the judging awards for the finals. Let's go to Kinesia first, and then Ryan and Hannah in that order. Kinesia, you're up first.
Oh, hi. So I chose Austin's side, the affirmative side, as the winning party for this debate, because while both sides did present really great arguments, Austin's sorry, I'm kind of scrambled a little bit today. Austin's argument that we don't really have regulation as it is did make a decent impact. While we do have existing regulations, and Anusha's argument that AI changes very quickly, so current regulations don't really stick, actually kind of made a point against her, because with the fact that AI is constantly changing, we need to also constantly change our regulations to match it. And let me look at my notes. Oh, the job transformation aspect, that is a really good point, but it does not necessarily create jobs for the people who are losing their jobs. It creates jobs in a separate field, which, while it is helpful and it is beneficial for the economy, does not necessarily resolve the issue of jobs being taken from people by AI. But both of you guys did a really great job and offered me a lot of perspectives I hadn't thought about. So thank you for debating, and it was great to see you guys present.
Great. Going to Ryan, you're up next.
Okay. I think my RFD is going to be focused on more of the problems in the debate, but I'm going to start off with saying that I ended up voting AFF Austen. I voted on the extinction impact. So the first problem that I see out of this debate is how long the plan explanation was. It was like very hard to flow because you provided all the prices and all the phases, but none of this actually matters to me. Insofar as you've proven to me that the resolution is true in a vacuum and that AI should be regulated, this plan does not fill into my ballot at all. And I don't think it did for any of the judges. Like, the specificities of the plan didn't really contribute to the fact that later into the rebuttals, an extinction impact was dropped, and that's where a lot of the offense was garnered for the app. So I would definitely recommend spending way less time on explaining the plan because I really just didn't need it. And also, it doesn't give you more offense. It actually gives your opponent more offense, because if they were to make an argument on saying how the plan is too expensive and you just flat out gave them two like $100 million prices right in front of them, that would actually really be advantageous for them. So it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot here. And also, it took a huge chunk of time in your constructive. Don't sacrifice time for more contentions by explaining the plan. It's not necessary. On to the cross X. I think that the first cross X wasn't very well spent. I think both debaters need to work on efficiency here because a lot of the first cross X was focused on semantics. Like, is it biased? Is the definition biased or not? What does substantially means? But in the end, I feel like Anusha didn't really like close this debate very well because in the first constructive of the negative, you start off by saying that we agree with our opponent's definition, and then you indict it by saying it's biased. That doesn't really make sense. And then what's even more troubling is into the next cross X, you bring up with a totally new definition, right? And this is something that happens a lot. And it's not like don't really blame yourself for it because you're kind of like put on the spot and cross. Your opponent is like just drilling you on like all this definition debate. Just know that next into future rounds, it's not really necessary to debate definitions because at that point, both debaters are either doing it strategically for a time suck or just trying to find holes in the plan. But when the affirmative garners that much time on the plan, just explaining every single like bell and whistle of it, it's really not necessary to question the definitions much. I feel like the negative constructive compared to the affirmative constructive, I can't speak. The neg compared to the AF in constructives was better because I think it's more substantive. There's a lot more contentions going on here, and there's a lot more offense that you can apply against the AF. But the biggest problem into the rebuttals is that the AF and the neg are like two ships passing the night. Neither actually implicate into how their offense works against their opponent and why they should win for it. I don't get a lot of judge instruction, so I can't find a solid place to vote, and that requires me to go into the round and figure out where is the most important piece of offense. That's probably the extinction warrant. So going more into this, the biggest problem with the negative is that your response to the extinction impacts came too late. It was in your last speech, but it should be in your first speech because I think a lot of the time the first speech was wasted on definitions, but you could have had a lot more potential just cross-applying your offense into theirs and also responding to the extinction impact. Because if you drop an extinction impact, it's over, right? The framework is conceded. Two worlds is the one that I was using throughout the whole entire debate. So at that point, if you don't respond to the extinction impact, there's really no other place that I can vote for fairly. Lastly, I feel like some of the questions across, like what were your taglines? You don't have to ask those, just flow the case. And just overall, there's two key things that both debaters should work on. There's judge instruction and there's efficiency, because there's a lot of clutter. Top case was very unnecessary of how much time was spent on it. And I wasn't really given a place to vote. I had to figure it out for myself. But that's not very good because that's really kind of arbitrary, right? Like, I shouldn't decide what matters in the round. It's up to y'all, but you have to tell me that. So overall, both debaters did a pretty good job. I feel like AF had the edge with the extinction impact because negative dropped it. That was kind of like the nail in the coffin for me. But yeah, good job to you both.
Great. Going to Hannah.
Hello, good job on both sides. I will go ahead and just say that I did also vote in favor of Austen. There were a couple of reasons why I did that. The first one was if we're looking to a two-world analysis, whether it would be beneficial to significantly increase or if it wouldn't be. I looked at it as a world where we did this and a world where we didn't do this. And just within that framing alone, it made it more easy for me to vote for Austen for a couple of different reasons. The first one was the definition of regulate versus restrict. Something that Anusha brought up was that if we were to significantly regulate this situation, we would see other businesses going to other countries because of less restriction, less regulation in those areas. And while that was a really wonderful argument, Austen did end up getting the edge on that by, basically saying like there's a difference between regulation and restriction. And in this instance, what Anusha is talking about is restriction. What I'm talking about is regulation. We're not taking away things. We're just making it a little bit easier to understand and control. So that was a really big one for me. I think one of the big things that I want from both debaters is more impact. While you both had some level of impact, I think there were certain areas of case that got a little bit lost. So the example that I have for that is specifically on the negative. We hear first contention, subpoint C, we're talking about legal issues and feeling a lack of support, and that would push them away into other areas. I feel like this could have been impacted a lot further than what it actually was. And so that's something that I think just was a little bit necessary to fix in the future. Again, another thing that I wanted from both, again, was the impact specifically on the affirmative when we look into the definitions here. Now, I'm an IPDA debater through and through. Definitions are really, really important for me. And because of that, I see a lot of back roads into negative argumentation. So one of the big things that I took a problem within the affirmative was the lack of definition for AI. Now, obviously, a majority of us in the room know what AI is, but there's a very real possibility that you get a judge who doesn't know what AI is or doesn't understand how far-reaching AI is. So in that regard, we need to know what kind of AI we're talking about. If we're talking solely about, this particular type of AI that's helping with health, or if we're looking at this particular AI that's looking at education, or if we're just looking at general AI, we still need a definition for that. All of that said, again, I thought both sides did really well. It just ended up being that two-world framework that really solidified my vote for the affirmative. So.
Great. Congratulations to the debaters, and thanks again to our wonderful panel of judges. We'll be releasing our 2023 to 2024 tournament schedule and also club schedules soon. So keep an eye out for that. We got some fun surprises in there, and I'm looking forward to announcing it. If you have any questions on the way out, do let me know, but that will conclude this tournament, and await your email with ballots and all the sort of bells and whistles and recordings and such that you'll get coming out of the tournament. Take care and have a great weekend.
Bye. Thank you.
Adios.